I think for me, I'm interested in the long-term like success of this industry.
Sure.
And that involves being good neighbors. The reason that restrictions and regulations are coming in everywhere is because in a lot of ways, Airbnb grew too fast and pissed off a lot of people in the process. And so for us, like you lose a little bit of placement in terms of Airbnb by not having instant book turned on. But I believe that psychologically, if someone just pays for something online, they believe it's theirs. Whereas if we force you to send us a message and explain the nature of your stay, like it's true sharing economy. We're not a hotel. We don't have a night guard sitting here at night making sure that people aren't breaking the rules. We have to find other ways around that. And this is one of the things that I think that I'm different than the majority of the people in this industry.
Hello, everyone. Rick Albert here with another episode of The Key to the City of Angels. I have Brad, is it Greiner?
Greiner.
Greiner. There you go. Thank you.
No,
So
no one can get it right.
I appreciate it. Open air homes. We're going to talk a little bit about the short-term rental market and some other things. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So why don't we start with how did you get into what you're doing?
Yeah, so I owned a home in the Hollywood Hills. I was actually bi-coastal at the time, producing movies. I had a friend design it, an interior design. Well, he's not an interior designer. He's a Italian artist. And anyways, he did such a beautiful job with it. And there came a moment where I was not sure exactly how I was going to pay the mortgage. And so I put it for rent on Airbnb. And at first I just did a room and I would be there and there would be a stranger in my kitchen and I'd be talking to them. And it was nice at first. And then you're sort of like, over time, you're like, I don't know if I want people in my house. And so that was my entry into Airbnb. It was right around the time where they had begun. So I put the whole home for rent on Airbnb. And I think I was like one of the first ones to do like a very nice home, the whole home on Airbnb. And what I tell people is that we've really grown up with Airbnb. Like they went through massive growth. We haven't gone through the massive growth that they've gone through, but like we grew up together in a lot of ways. And so now things are like operationally really sound. They know what they're doing. We know what we're doing. They're publicly traded. And so, yeah, that's really how it started.
Nice. Okay. And then you manage other like rentals. So are they mostly in LA? This is because I'm really curious because the laws have changed in Los Angeles.
They're always changing.
Yeah. Fair. And that's always been like a risk though, right? With
Yeah.
midterm, like I have a client who's looking to buy a short-term rental and that was always like, Terrence, like, how about this market? They don't have laws in place yet. And I'm like, those are probably the ones you want to avoid, right?
Yeah.
Because that means there's going to be versus investing in a market that already has some laws in place that you can already understand. Is that kind of your understanding as well?
Yeah. So the first thing is that like monthly rentals throughout California are legal no matter what. So like sometimes HOAs will come in and say it's a 90-day minimum. That's not true. I can point you to the civil code that shows you that anything over 90 days is legal. And often about 40% of our portfolio are just monthly rentals as well. So
Okay.
anytime there is a legal restriction or regulations, like we're just above board everywhere. Like we're not, there's companies that are doing some pretty shady stuff. We're not doing any of that. We're big enough, we're doing well enough that I don't need to worry about anything like that. But so like I would say that LA is pretty fair and balanced. We also manage homes in Palm Springs. It's a lot less fair and balanced. The community there is older. They're very concerned about noise. And listen, we're like the anti-party company, but at the same time, like they have a task force that's like out and about trying to find people. I think maybe we avoid some of the issues that other people are dealing with because we're like the anti-party company. We don't do instant book. So people have to send in a request to book and we verify that they're going to be a good guest in terms of not breaking these rules. And a lot of that like chaos of maybe 10 years ago that probably some hosts are still dealing with, we're not really dealing with very much of that at all.
Yeah, because that was always like the big complaint. I remember hosting open houses and people are like, there's an Airbnb on the next block, right? I'm like, yeah, so yeah, but they throw parties at on a random Tuesday night when the rest of us have to work.
Yeah. Someone said something funny. It's if you live next door to a bad neighbor, like you live next door to them 24/7, and it's like you deal with that 24/7. Good companies are good at making sure that they're not having parties in the homes and that people respect the rules and you kick them out if they do. That's just what you do. And does it happen? Yes, a few times a year, but it's not really. We've found ways to pretty much avoid it. The other thing is like Airbnb is our biggest partner in terms of bookings. They have a review system now that's very strong. And I think
Yeah.
like we have people that reach out to us that have 40 positive reviews. We know you're going to be a good guest. Like it's so that in place is really helpful as well at this point in time.
So if you do the instant bookings, then the argument is you don't get a chance to review their reviews. They could have good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, I mean, you can set, there's settings where you can turn on
Okay.
instant book and say they have to have 3 positive reviews and all this. I think for me, I'm interested in the long term, like success of this industry.
Sure.
And that involves being good neighbors. The reason that restrictions and regulations are coming in everywhere is because in a lot of ways, Airbnb grew too fast and pissed off a lot of people in the process. And so for us, like you lose a little bit of placement in terms of Airbnb by not having instant book turned on. But I believe that psychologically, if someone just pays for something online, they believe it's theirs. Whereas if we force you to send us a message and explain the nature of your stay, like it's true sharing economy. We're not a hotel. We don't have a night guard sitting here at night making sure that people aren't breaking the rules. We have to find other ways around that. And this is one of the things that I think that I'm different than the majority of the people in this industry, but we've stuck to our guns and we have higher occupancy rates than other people, than most other companies, just because the quality of our portfolio is there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because we book Airbnbs on occasion. I don't think I've ever filtered based off instant bookings, right? We look at certain amenities, certain price, location. I haven't looked to see if I care about instant bookings or not.
Yeah, hotels made this popular, right? You book a hotel and it's just you want to get it over with. I
Mhm.
understand that there's a barrier to entry to have to send a message, but also like I have a reservations team that works from 6 a.m. until 2 a.m. at night. We're probably going to go 24 hours soon, really soon here. And we're getting back to you within minutes. These things can be wrapped up pretty quickly. But I agree with you. I think some people are searching by that just because they're busy and they just want it wrapped up. Oftentimes with a home versus a hotel room, people have questions as well. Like they just want some assurance because there's a lot of people have been burned by a bad host here or there. And
Oh yeah.
so they really just want to chat with you in the first place. And this strategy works for us. Other companies would probably look at it and be like, you're crazy to not turn on instant book, but hey, it's what's working for us.
No, I will say I've had bad experiences before, and it's
We
typically
all
cleaning, right? That's
have.
yeah. I remember once it was when we were in Finland, actually, of all places, and we booked an Airbnb. And my daughter, she wasn't even a year old at the time, and she's like crying and we thought it was allergies. We call like the doctor here in the US, like 2 in the morning here, and they're like, it's probably something viral, whatever. And
Yeah.
like, let's switch Airbnbs because there's other stuff we didn't care. The minute we switched, my daughter was fine.
Wow.
It's just the place was just so dirty.
Yeah, that's what I tell my team, and that's what I tell homeowners that we work with is that people have such low expectations. They're raising, but they do still have pretty low expectations because they've probably been burned. But if you can get the cleanliness and the maintenance and look like the photos,
Yeah.
if you do those two things right, like chances are people are pretty happy.
Yeah.
Expectations are still going up. Like we've seen some people really are expecting a lot more than they used to, but like that's just the main thing. And that's like base standard of what should always be right.
Understandably, I think a clean place is a reasonable expectation.
Yeah.
What other expectations are people, what are they expecting? Because you're saying it's increasing, and then why are expectations increasing?
I relate it to like how when you booked an Uber 10 years ago, like they didn't have anything in the car, they didn't have a charger. And now you sometimes get in an Uber and it's like they're having a whole assortment of things to try to impress you because they're trying to get a 5-star review. The same thing has happened in our industry, whether it's gift baskets or just early check ins, late checkouts, or just I found one leaf in the outdoor shower. Like there's literally trees everywhere. There's one leaf in the outdoor shower and they ask for a $500 refund. Like
Wow.
things like that, crazy stuff. And so sometimes it's like bargain hunters trying to get a refund, but also it's just sometimes they just have expectations are rising. And as it should be, because I was speaking to someone at Airbnb recently and I was saying that as hosts, like we need to elevate at all hosts all at the same time because when people have a bad experience, they just switch back to hotels. And so everybody needs to go through this process of professionalizing all at the same time.
I would, that makes sense in this, because like I'm thinking like, okay, if someone loves Marriott, no matter where they're traveling, they're going to do a Marriott. But
Yeah.
with Airbnb, because each host is individually owned, Airbnb can't, it's harder for them to regulate and have set standards.
Yeah, very true. And that's probably I know they're on these like missions to offer these different services and everything Airbnb is. To me, it's the fundamentals. It's like, how do you really start to train all hosts everywhere? Understanding that every culture is different, the way that people live, the cleanliness, everything is different across every country that they operate in. But it's really true. It's true what you're saying.
So with you, because in theory, because you manage these properties, that could be part of like your brand, right? So someone's so just like, hey, Marriott here and here, but if people are coming, we know Brad's properties have a certain level of standard.
Yeah, and like a lot of our guests, like they'll book one home and then it either won't be available or they'll stay at a different one. Oftentimes, like people fall in love with one home. We have a family that travels to the same home every single winter for 3 months, and they're coming from Scandinavia. It's freezing cold, and so they come for 3 months every year to the same home. The moment they leave, they book the next year, and so it's in a way it feels like it's partially their home. They have it every single year, and so we have a lot of that going on too, and just a lot of people that trust us. But again, the trust has really been broken because of the speed of growth of this industry. And now is really a time of building back trust. And if anyone knows anything about trust, it's like that takes time to build. It's not something that just happens overnight.
Yeah. And I, even from the investor perspective, I've been out of all the different categories, right? Long-term rentals, flips, midterm rentals. It seemed from when I was listening recently on a podcast, Two Bigger Pockets, they're like Airbnb is like in short term, it's like at the bottom. Like it's getting much harder for barrier to entry. I've heard of oversaturation in markets.
Yeah.
What are you seeing in that respect?
So what we've seen is that like Palm Springs oversaturation for sure.
Yeah.
And everyone went in there and bought a home. The majority of them are 3 bedroom homes. So if you have a 3 bedroom home in Palm Springs, like good luck to you. For whatever reason, that entire area built a ton of 3 bedroom homes. And if you have a five bedroom home, it's doing slightly better. But yes, prices come down. There becomes a race to the bottom in terms of
Yeah.
pricing. Interest rates have stayed high, and sellers' expectations, like they're not reducing their pricing, and so you just have this standstill. And so they might list it for sale, and they'll still take rentals maybe, and then they're going into 2026 thinking I might as well rent it again because the amount of inventory stays the same. Demand has probably fallen because of like Canadian tourists. I think the one thing that might be changing here in the very near future is that as these AI search results and algorithms get stronger, they're really going to do a good job of pointing you to the exact house that you want. Think about it this way. Like on ChatGPT now, we're so used to like typing in a whole sentence of what we're looking for as opposed to just saying 3 words. And I would imagine the same thing is coming on Airbnb and also just different platforms that do rentals where you're going to be able to say, I want a house with a trampoline and a jacuzzi and an infrared sauna that's on the beach. And it's just going to pull up what's actually available for you. And that's really needed at this point in time because as we enter a moment where there might be like an oversupply in the market, like the amenities that you have, and also just like having homes that appear at the top of the search results, I think we're going to start to see that those are still going to succeed. And there's going to be like a market of winners and losers. And that's really what we're starting to see in LA is that some homes are doing insanely well and are booked through March. And then other homes like are just homeowners contact me and they say, I've had one booking all summer.
Wow. I've had a few clients that were in the Airbnb space, and this is before a lot of the rules and regulations came in, but they were telling me because of dynamic pricing, they had like 98% occupancy rate. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you see online, people are like, oh, you only get 50%, 60%. It's like, no, you can get 100%, but you have to watch it like a hawk. And if you see a random Tuesday, you just drop the price to fill it.
Yeah.
And what
I
you're
think,
saying,
yeah. Yeah. We're never at 100% occupancy. We don't do one night rentals. Like two is probably the minimum we'll ever do, but most of them are even at 3 to 5 to 7. Like we're doing longer stays. But yeah, our top homes are at like 95% occupancy.
what experiences are those homes providing that gives them such high occupancy? Or is it just a price play?
At the right price with the right amenities in the right area. That looks good. And so we have a home that was on HGTV. Like they did a reno of it, and I actually never saw the episode, but I heard it happened. And anyways, yeah, it has all the amenities. It has an infrared sauna and a cold plunge and it's I think it's a 3 bedroom house, and it's just like crazy numbers at 95% occupancy at a really high nightly rate too. We're using dynamic pricing. July 4th is going to be probably 1,500, and then a Wednesday in November is going to be at maybe 600. So there is a drastic difference in terms of what the pricing is. You can get it because of just the demand for certain homes.
I get that because because in my circle of like friends and stuff, we're looking at Airbnbs and we're also looking at the hotel space. But it's like, what are the amenities that the hotels are providing? Right? We're
Yeah.
not going to stay at a Motel 6. We might stay as a quick getaway. We might actually stay at the Ritz because even though it's super expensive, it's still going to be cheaper than traveling overseas if we can only stay for the weekend. And
Yeah.
I would imagine in the house space and the short-term rental space, it's similar. Where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, what are they offering? Because if it's just a regular house, then you're right. The only thing you can compete on is price.
Yeah, yeah, and we're very fortunate. Like we don't have like a design standard necessarily, but there's a similarity with our homes. Sometimes we're having interior designers do them. Sometimes the homeowners come to us with just like a beautiful home that's ready to go. But I've taken over as a quality control of our portfolio with those like first sales calls and tours because what I've learned is that if you take on a bunch of just like mediocre properties, you're going to have angry homeowners. They're going to be calling you all the time, and I was thinking about this the other day. I was actually telling someone we don't have a single aggressive, angry, difficult homeowner. We don't have a single one, which I used to have in the past.
Yeah.
And, you
Huh.
know, what one advice that I got was to drop them, drop the angry ones, drop the ones that are just taking up 80% of your time that are making you almost no money. And I'm not saying that like the industry has been down and we're weathering the storm better than others, but something that we're doing is like translating to, or if they are angry, they're just not telling us. I think everyone would like to be making more money, but we've tried to be very clear with our homeowners in Palm Springs, which is just either we keep the price where it's at and you might see 30% occupancy, or we could drop the rate and we might get you up to 60% occupancy, but this is your choice. And so we're giving everyone the choice of what they want to do. Some people have a mental idea in their head, I can't go below $500 a night for my home. And it's okay. We'll save it there. And I think the thing that I think about too is each one of our homeowners has different goals. Some of them are like offsetting the cost of home ownership. Others are this is an investment and I want to break even. Others are trying to make money. Like each one is a little bit different. And so like during that sales process is finding out what their goals are and making sure that we can do our best to hit those.
What percentage is more of, I just might as well make some money off of it versus, no, this is a legit business?
I would say the majority of our homeowners are the type that have unlocked like lifestyle arbitrage and that they want to live in their home for part of the year and then make as much money as possible when they're gone.
Okay.
So they're coming and going. And so to them, making as much money as possible is important to them.
Sure.
But I think we really work with a lot of homeowners where this is like a long-term play of where they want to live. And that when they're not here, we're going to pay the majority of the mortgage and the majority of the expenses with the revenue that they're making.
You know, I talked to a client about that because when we were talking about different markets, one of the markets was like near Santa Barbara. And we're looking at some of these homes online. I'm like, I could see you retiring here.
Yeah.
And he's, yeah, we thought about that. Where it's, okay, let's, to your point, make as much money off of it as possible, hold on to it for 10 plus years or 20, 30 years. And then, yeah, that could be the retirement home, but at least Airbnb, VRBO, whatever, they've been paying for it, basically.
Yeah. And if something changes in your life and you need a smaller, bigger home, you can 1031 exchange it or whatever the case may be. If you're looking at just the financial markets right now, it looks like nowhere is safe to put your money. I heard like an investor say collect collectibles and baseball cards, and it's like someone that's like legitimate and serious as
Yeah.
an investor. And I would think that I'm not, we're talking our own book because you're a real estate agent, but it's if you have money and you need to spend it and everything's overvalued in the stock market and you think you want to retire in Santa Barbara, like maybe this is a good idea for you. And then Scott Galloway is another person. He says buy real estate in places where like people want to be long term. That's his strategy. And it's true. It's if you buy homes in these areas where people are going to want to be long term, you might retire in it, but also you might want to use it occasionally, but it's also a good rental property because people want to come.
And see, for me, for the long-term rentals, my philosophy, even when I've been buying here in LA, is like always buy just outside of a desirable area. So as
Yeah.
people get priced out, they have to go somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, that's very true. I lived in Brooklyn for years. Like we called it East Bush,
Great.
we called it East Williamsburg, but it was in Bushwick. And yeah, it's just, it was not the right place to live, but it was what we could afford. And now when I go back there, it's like, what happened to this place? This is like luxury now.
Oh yeah, my first place was in Tarzana, but it was north of the freeway. So everyone thinks that's Reseda. So I
Yeah.
basically got Reseda pricing with a Tarzana address. And I
Hmm.
put money into it, like 20-ish thousand. That's really not much in the big scheme of things.
Yeah.
And I sold it 7 years later for almost double what I paid for it.
Wow.
And it's okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like it works.
Yeah. And you know what we see in our portfolio, like if we talk about Los Angeles, like Venice Beach does extremely well for us, but like pretty much all of LA, people want to come to Southern California. And we're doing such a variety of rentals. Sometimes it's vacation. Sometimes I live in Tarzana and my house just had a flood and I need to move here for 3 months. Like we're doing so many different types of things everywhere. So there's really what I've seen, at least in Southern California, there's like a market for whatever it is that you're going to list.
Sure. So then, the question that I'm sure people are instantly thinking when you say that is, okay, so we had the fires, right? So we're coming up to the 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
Have you seen in terms of, if any, like movement? Because Venice Beach isn't that far from the Palisades, and you saw the Eden fires. Did you see a lot of movement in your world because of that?
A lot. Yeah. We switched a bunch of our homes to long term rentals at the time just to be able to help people that needed homes. We spoke to our homeowners and said, hey, this might be a good moment if you want to take a long term rental. So we did that in a number of cases. Yeah. And if you look at, we have homes in South Malibu that are just like not, they're just struggling for rentals. The home didn't burn down, but there's construction everywhere. It's not really where I'd want to live. We have a home in Pacific Palisades. They're trying to sell it. It's listed at we used to list it at $20,000 a month. We dropped the price to 15. Finally took a renter, but these places have been hit really hard. It's if you ever drive up there, it's not doesn't feel like where you'd want to live right now.
It's funny because like I have clients that have bought and sold in Malibu, and I get it, but it's definitely not for me. Like I've seen homes that are like no views, not by the beach, but it's a Malibu address. I'm like, eh, do I really
Yeah,
want to spend 3 to 5 million
yeah,
and being almost like a fireball at this point? I know that's been part of the big discussion. Is like, okay, I rebuild my home in Malibu, I rebuild my home in Palisades, but what's to stop it from burning down again?
yeah. There's this one home up in Palisades by where I hike. This really cool trail, and I liked it, and I would take photos of it, and but my friends would say it looks like a library, but I'm like, it's cool the way they did it. And it was like the one home when those fires came through that ended up standing, and it was built by architects. And what they did is they used really fire retardant, like whatever they made it, and it literally the fire probably came right over it, and it literally just survived. And I really hope this is a moment where we realize that we're going to have to build differently. This community is wealthy. They can afford to have different standards of how they build when they rebuild.
I
But
agree.
it's just, let's just not do the same thing again. Let's get over this.
I agree.
Like,
I mean, they talked about moving the power lines underground. That was a big help. They're, I know they're updating some of the paperwork when people buy and sell homes, where now there's going to be an extra clause about you should really check the electrical. And I remember talking to an attorney about it, and she, yeah, basically they really want to remind people like there could be electrical fires. I'm like, yeah, but on a practical basis, when you're buying or selling a home, I can't inspect behind a wall anyways.
yeah. Yeah.
I hear you, but there's no actionable difference.
But how cool. Los Angeles has been like the leader in a number of things in this world, like for a long time. Like, why can't we use this as like a major opportunity to rebuild in a completely different way that's like actually like fire safe? We have to realize that we're building up against these mountains. Like, we shouldn't really just build the same homes here again. And I know they want to move these things forward and they want to do it fast and they want to do it cost effective. But you have to imagine that there's like much better technologies that are out there. So I really hope that this is going to change. But it's depressing to drive through there right now.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
I know someone, she drives PCH every day to go
Yeah.
to and from work, and it's wild.
You have an ocean view now when you're on your drive.
That's what I told her. I said the drive's better. Yeah,
I
but
mean, yeah, it's really not great. It's really sad.
and to be fair, there's also certain building like in California. My big thing's like the solar panels. Like it's now required to have solar panels on new builds, and people are like, yeah, go green. I'm like, yeah, you just added $30,000 to the cost of building.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have it where it was before, where look, the house is solar ready.
Yeah, or the state could come in and say, we're going to amortize this over the course of a number of years and you're going to pay a low fee. And there's ways to figure these things out as opposed to just like forcing them to buy them up front. I could talk about Karen Bass and how my hate for her for so long, but I'm not going to.
So you're not going to go for the
Not,
reelection, right? That's what you're saying.
not a political podcast, but I just we need to get our shit together in this state, in this
Oh
city.
yeah.
And we just seem to be flat footed everywhere and just not. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it.
All right.
But,
That's the next episode. The next
yeah.
episode, that'll be a bonus one. And it's like talking shit in LA.
No, and listen, I wanted the best for her
I agree.
and I want the best for Los Angeles, but I just don't think we're there.
No, I do agree. There's a lot of things stepping in different directions, especially with like rent control and then going into the price gouging, because that keeps getting extended. How our home, because it doesn't really affect the short-term rental space, but then it also does because
Yeah.
you're right. So can you explain how it's been affecting that space?
Yeah, so we use dynamic pricing. So like I was saying earlier, we might have a home that the standard rate is 800, but then it'll flex up to 1500 and down to 500. That right there is considered price gouging through their eyes because it's plus or minus 10% at any moment in time. We're not going after hotels for, maybe they are, I don't really know. But yeah, so we sometimes get these notices that say, hey, you're price gouging from the platforms like Airbnb or VRBO. And then we'll go in and explain the simple dynamics of, dynamic pricing. And we typically get it removed and we're fine. We very clearly from the exact moment that the fire started, put something on our website that's like a banner that was like, we are not price gouging. Like we are keeping our prices exactly the same.
Yeah.
Which is what we did. But I don't know why they're extending it. Like the people of the Palisades, at least maybe different for Eden, but they had so much opportunity. A lot of them moved to Orange County. A lot of them moved to New York. Like they're just like living in their Paris home for a few years. There's so many different things that this group did. Maybe it's a little bit different for the Eden Fire people about price gouging. But from what I'm seeing is there's an oversupply on the market. And consumers have the choice to choose whatever price they want. Like they have a choice to choose like what they want to choose. So I don't understand this whole thing of like why they would still think that we're over here price gouging.
I tend to agree. And we are pretty far. I have a client who has a home in Calabasas and he wanted me to list it for rent. And I had to go through the exercise. I'm like, I'm sorry, you can only raise it by 10% what you previously rented it for. He was previously renting for around $9,000. So I'm like, yeah, you're at 9,900. That's BS. People are telling me I can rent my place out for 12 to 15 grand. I'm like,
yeah,
you can list it. Here's different platforms. I just can't list it for you.
Real estate agents that are getting in trouble for this.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, there was articles about it. Certain agents are getting dinged for it.
Wow.
And then I know some of the laws changed because Newsom figured out that there was a lot of basically like mansions that were supposed to be for rent, but they were taken off because it's based off of the HUD guidelines if it hasn't been rented previously. But the problem is like a 3-bedroom condo in Malibu is going to rent differently than a 3-bedroom house with an ocean view. But because it's based on bedroom count, they'd be renting for the same. That just doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, I think they're pushing it out. And I said from the beginning, they're going to keep pushing it out until at least the 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Plus, my hunch is either they're going to end it in January or they're going to keep extending it until more homes are under construction.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty like liberal by nature. And I just think like I was biking up to the top of like where Santa Monica hits Malibu. And there was a while where we had guys with like huge not machine guns, but AK-47s or whatever, like military people. And I'm just like, we're so lost in this state. We have so many things that need to be fixed. And we're just so like bureaucratic by nature. And we just let these things extend. Whereas a bunch of other states are just like laughing at us over here. And it's like, we have a lot to clean up and to do. And it just seems, I hope we get there.
I hope so too.
How did this turn into a political podcast?
Yeah, but
about short-term
that's part of it. Because like housing, and then we'll get back to what we were talking about. But the big thing with housing is people are saying housing's a right. And I'm like, it's not a right, it's a necessity. But it's not a right. And I think that's where the challenge is. Like people are saying, because housing's a right, we should be able to do X, Y, and Z. And it's, look, if I could afford to live in Santa Monica, I'd live in Santa Monica. But I can't afford it, so I move somewhere else.
Yeah.
For a while, my wife and I lived in a studio ADU in the Valley.
Yeah.
We bought the house, remodeled it, converted the garage. We were broke from the remodel. I told my wife, well, we literally just got married. And I said, congrats, we're moving into a 360 square foot ADU. And she looked at me and said, why aren't we moving to the main house? I'm like, we can't afford it. We live in the studio and we can still refinance because it's considered to be owner occupied.
Yeah.
And then we're now officially in my first home where we don't have to house hack. I
Yeah.
actually have a garage. I've never owned a property with a garage before. It's weird, and I'm loving it. Like it's you start somewhere, but it's hard when it's hard to convey that to people.
And also, I've built a bunch of homes too. And like what I've learned is that it's the way that we're currently doing it is not cost effective. It's driving up prices. You have
Sure.
7,000 different inspectors that have to come through. It's just driving up the cost and the time here. And so, of course, like I have to sell it for a higher price. And so everything just
Oh
starts
yeah.
to snowball in that direction. And you hear that Gavin Newsom's going to come in and cut the red tape everywhere. I'm waiting to see it. I'm still experiencing it. I own these little bungalows here in Venice. The red tape that I have to jump through for this has been just a nightmare. And anyways, but I am like really excited about the ADU laws changing, like, and like the state going after like cities like Huntington Beach, where it's no, you have to build this. Like you have to allow people the opportunity to build this. We get a lot of people that reach out to us that have ADUs. There's a lot of companies in my space that are just like, I only want to work on mansions. I only want to cater to the 1%. And for me, like I want to manage those ADUs. There are so many reasons why people need to move here for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Yes, of course, like building more homes so that we have more like homes available for people to rent is very important. But like, it's also important for that person to be able to come here for 2 months while they look to either purchase or rent something long term. Like, we're providing such a gap for people here that like this demonization of our industry, like I see it on the ground. Like there is some vacation, don't get me wrong, but there's also a woman that's staying with us right now because it's like right next to the medical facilities and she's in some sort of potential like treatment program for a rare version of cancer that she has. And she ended up getting a slot at this UCLA, what is it called, like a clinical trial that's going on. And so she like needed a place right away and she doesn't know how long she's going to be there. But so it's like we're filling these gaps in different ways. But I read all about NIMBYism and NIMBYism and the need to build all these different to make things more dense. And it's just something that I fully believe in. And I'm starting to see that it's happening on a larger scale. Are you starting to see that too?
Yeah. Part of the challenge, of course, is parking, right?
Yeah.
So you start like I have what I've been seeing a lot of is if you have streets full of ADUs, where are they going to park? Especially now because the state said, "Hey, we don't have to worry about having two off-street parking spots anymore." So
Yeah. Have you ever tried to park in Koreatown?
I heard about it. Yeah, there's a big apartment complex and they want to get rid of all of them. But to be fair, and again, trying not to go back, but it's like if you got rid of rent control, you actually wouldn't need the ADUs because market would then shift and there'd be more investments, there'd be more building, so people then can move around. But because of rent control, and we all know that costs are going up, so now these owners have to be like, I got to make up the difference somewhere. And that's
Yeah.
where the ADUs come in. They're like, so they're almost like forced to, because when you have the average rent in each unit being $800 a month, I made up that number. I don't know what it is, but when it's $800 and it should be 2,000, but insurance and property tax, you got to make it up somewhere.
Yeah.
So that becomes part of the problem.
Yeah. We've also taken on management of a bunch of homes where they tried to rent it long term and it didn't rent. And so
Yeah.
they were on the market for 6 months. And I think this also goes to people's expectations. You probably deal with this as an agent all the time. People's expectations of pricing is so high that like the price that they should get for their home because they saw that 2 years ago it was at this. And so they list it at that, then they don't get it. And then they end up coming to us. And then like we work our magic and then all of a sudden it's hitting the number that they want. But I'm having constant conversations with homeowners to reset or lower their expectations. Homeowners might come to me and I'll run the comps and the data and it comes back and says your home is going to rent for $25,000 a month. And they'll tell me I want 35,000. And it's okay, we can want whatever we want. But and I can list it for that maybe. But so we just have we have all these boomers have an inflated sense of what their home is worth and how much they can get. And as inflation, all these things go up. Sorry, I shouldn't call them boomers. But yeah, they invested like $30,000 in 1980 and now they're worth 17 million. Wow, congrats. But yeah, they just have a sense of everything that they like the prices of what they hope to be getting and what they think that they should be getting. And I bet you deal with this as a real estate agent with sales and also rentals of just like, this is not what the market is saying.
It's totally because it used to be years ago, I could almost pinpoint what a home would sell for. Like my favorite one was I took on a listing and we knew it was overpriced, but we told them upfront, list for 2.35, get 2.3.
Yeah.
So we listed it high because that's what they wanted. 7 months on the market. They finally listened. got it listed for basically 2.35, got two offers at 2.3, and we closed.
Yeah.
Now the conversation I'm having is, look, here's what an appraiser is going to view the value, but the market's ultimately going to dictate. So
Yeah.
it can go either way. Not me, not you, not his estimate. That's just is what it is. And it's tough because some sellers get disappointed when I'm like, look, like even when I sold our last house, I was hoping for over asking, but I priced it where I'm like, look, I'm comfortable at this price. I got two offers within a week and a half. Both were below list. I got one of them to come close. And I told my wife, I was like, let's just take it and move on. Like the market's booked. I understand it's only been a week and a half, but like I've done a handful of showings, got two offers. Why would I sit longer?
Yeah.
How does that do me any favors?
Yeah.
And we closed.
I agree. I've been through that too. And I like, even as I say this, like I've been the seller where I've been like wanting some crazy high price. So I get it. It's just, it is like human nature. I have a question just since we're talking about real estate. What do you think about the stall house, the one that's for sale? Do you think it's going to get that $25 million price? Do you know about this?
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to dig too much into it. It's bragging rights is what you're trying to pay for. I don't know. At that world, it's a total maybe. Like anything like, I don't know, let's call it close to 4 million and above. You can look at comps all day, but it's all about emotion.
Yeah.
So if they can sell the story, yeah, maybe. There's a lot of money at that price point. I was actually just talking to a colleague earlier today. There's so much cash in LA.
Yeah.
Like when buyers come through some of my listings and they're like, I'm a cash buyer. I'm like, welcome to LA. There's a lot.
Yeah.
At any price point, to be fair.
Yeah.
So it's just not.
Oftentimes it's like daddy's money if it's someone younger or it's someone that, yeah, a lot of it is all cash.
Yeah. And you also have like tech. I have clients who called me and said, Rick, I'm about to cash out. I'm collecting $250,000. I need to do something with it. I mean, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Because my understanding, at least in the tech space, was because it was such high turnover, they were offering stock options, but you had to stay with the company for so many years in order to be able to cash out. That was part of the agreement. So yeah, there's a lot of money going around. So it's a hard maybe. I've seen homes sell for way more than I expected and some for way less.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I'm not sure. It's a stunningly beautiful house.
Yeah.
I was actually just looking at it earlier. I don't even think they list the price per square foot because it's tiny and it's 25 million, but it would just, it's like unfathomable, that number, that price per square foot.
Yeah. And also to be fair, like there was a house a few years ago that was going for 250 million. Like they price it to get attention.
What did it sell for though? Like 125, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It was like 125. Yeah. But it was like, oh, it comes with a helicopter. I'm like, shit, I want a helicopter. Hey, I'll pay 250 for the helicopter and the house is free. But yeah. So like sometimes they price it just to get attention.
Yeah.
Just to get people talking about it. Because if it was priced at 10 million, 15 million, would it get attention? I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is it just seems like the real estate industry is like just very talking about this so much, and it's just so interesting. It's historic.
Yeah. And it's also a weird market right now in general. Like I'm having agents, what I've had in the last week was every agent that's called me about my listings, the conversation is how flexible are they on the price? Yeah. Like before they even see it, there's conversations about flexibility. Whereas before it was, all right, we just want to schedule a showing. Or, hey, how much over is it going to have to be? That was back in like 2021. But I've noticed recently, it's like I could have listed it for $1 and they're going to be like, hey, how low can the seller go? And I'm like, so then I have to go through the spiel of, look, the two spiels I say, if it's been sitting on the market, I just say, hey, look, write an offer I'm happy to present because I can't control what the seller does. Or I tell people, hey, look, I can't give you an answer because no matter whatever answer I give you, I lose. If I say no, they're firm, you don't come, you don't write an offer, my seller's out an offer. If I tell you too low, you write an offer, my seller is now less than what they were expecting. Like no matter what answer I give you, I'm screwed. So come see it. And then if they try to talk to me more, then I go in the spiel like, look, 100% of the time I have this conversation, I never see an offer, which is true. Wow. 100% of the time when they try to pre-negotiate, don't see it or it's just whatever.
We're seeing this on the rental side too, like where a home will be listed at $15,000 a month, and they'll come in and be like, "Hey, I'll give you 10," and it's like without, and it's just okay, maybe 13. Right. maybe 13, but like you want it for 10. And it's I don't think maybe you think that people are in more dire straits than they're actually in. Because in a lot of ways, Nvidia is still up. These seven companies are propping up 40% of the stock market.
Yeah.
And as long as that goes on, people aren't really in a really dire straits for the homes that they have. And
Yeah.
as long as that keeps going up, it seems like in a standstill position where it's like, when are interest rates going to come down and what is going to happen here? But seems like something's going to happen. I just don't know what it's going to be.
And if it is, it's not going to be major. Because the thing with LA, and I know it happens in every market, but especially in LA, we have 209 neighborhoods. So if you get priced out of Santa Monica, you can go to Mar Vista.
Yeah.
Priced out of Sherman Oaks, you can go to Van Nuys. Like,
Yeah.
we can see more movement happening in LA, and the prices vary enough to justify it.
Yeah.
And so that's why we haven't
like that. But
much
that's
ability.
Oh, sorry. I've never thought about it like that, but that's so true. Where it's just like, yeah, maybe you can't be oceanfront in Santa Monica. You can be in Mar Vista.
Yeah. Oh, you can't afford Malibu, or you don't want to be near the fires, but you want to be close to the beach? Come to Calabasas.
Yeah.
Go to Bell Canyon. I always liked Bell Canyon's like horse community. It's gated. I'm like, those are for the people who didn't go and get into Hidden Hills.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't go into Hidden Hills, you go to Bell Canyon. And there's horse property, but it's all like hillside. I'm like, you can't put a horse here. What is this? But yeah, so that's always been the big thing with LA is like, we can see that movement as long as people are willing to make that move.
Yeah.
But no, this has been amazing. It's been a great conversation. If you were to say what's going on in 2026 in terms of the short-term, mid-term rental market, property management stuff, what's the biggest prediction you think is going to happen?
Gosh, that's a good
Right?
question.
I try.
Huh.
It's my job.
I'm going to predict chaos. There's
Yes.
like this past year, there's just going to be chaos
Love it.
constantly. I saw something that tourism's way down, and we're not doing America any favors by making the entire world mad at us. I hope people come for FIFA, the World Cup. I'll just say personally with us, like we've seen so much growth as of late.
Good.
Okay, so much growth that like I'm wondering if it's happening to every other company in our space, or if like we've cracked the code with AI and how we're at the top of the search results, so everyone's reaching out to us. I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but I think when there's economic uncertainty, at least in our space, you're going to see more and more people list their homes. And I think the difference this time around is that because of AI, you're going to start to see like even more winners and losers. There's going to still be some people that are just do super well. And there's going to be people, if you don't focus on the guest experience in this space, you're going to fail. Like just if you install IKEA in your home everywhere and it's just like an IKEA showroom, and you're just going to fail. And so I've just learned to just tell those people no. We're getting so much outreach that it's like I'm going to work with the people that like I know they're going to be successful. And so I think that's one of the things that we're going to see is that through economic uncertainty, you're going to have a lot more people stressing out. Like layoffs are way up, like unemployment's up, inflation's up. You're just going to start to see people be like, oh, wow, that vacation home that we own that we said we'd never rent out, I think I'm going to rent it out now. And I'm just looking at it through the lens of my company, my industry. I don't know how this plays a bigger role in the economy and everything else that's going on, but it's just economic uncertainty is going to lead to growth in what we do. And I think we're already starting to see it. I don't think people are saying it out loud. Like when they call us, they're just more, hey, I think I want to rent my home. But I do think that the smart ones are starting to plan further ahead in advance.
I tend to agree. I think that we are going to see more winners and losers. And I think that we are going to start needing more adaptation, whether it's AI. And I do believe that there's going to be an AI bust.
Yeah.
Because we're already seeing it in the sense of some lenders are using AI and it's actually causing problems because then people can't get a hold of anyone. And so stuff's not actually getting done. So we still see some of that. But
we're also going to see a backlash against it because as people talk to their cousin lost their job from AI, people are going to be like, screw this. I don't want to talk to your AI agent all day.
It's like when people go to the supermarket and they purposely avoid the self-checkout. No, I want to go see a cashier.
Yeah.
So I do tend to agree. I think there's going to be some winners and losers. And what I'm noticing with even some of my clients or some people I know, the successful ones, it's all about systems. You don't even need to know about the business, right? Because there's this big wave of businesses for sale because people are retiring. And it's like they don't need to know about landscaping. They don't need to know how to change a sprinkler. But if they know how to implement the systems, they'll do very well.
Yeah. And I think that we really professionalize our business over the past few years. And it's just like all
Yeah.
of a sudden, it's just like everything is so smooth and so simple. And like we're not just dealing with chaos anymore. And it's all just systems. And now that AI is coming, we're able to like include that into what we do and it makes us more productive so we can stay really lean. One of my investors said this, you're very fortunate that you're in a business that like needs humans. Like we need humans to be able to do what we do, but that's not every industry. And I don't know. I'm trying to bulk up the size of our portfolio to understand that there might be a huge correction coming and just chaos everywhere.
Yeah. And that's actually why I'm trying to gear up to buy more rentals
Yeah.
going into next year. Even if the market crashes, I'm like, okay, it's a paper loss.
Yeah.
But then if rates drop, I can refinance because they all
Yeah.
have some level of equity.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. But yeah, no, I agree. All right, Brad, thank you so much for coming on. How can people get a hold of you?
So I don't have social media personally, but openairhomes.com. Oh,
Are
openairhomes.com.
you a real person if you don't have an Instagram account? Like, are
I
you real?
maybe I'm just an AI right now.
Right?
No, I haven't had social media for 15 years, and I think it's like my mental health is okay because of it.
You're actually 60. You just can't tell.
Yeah, but yeah, but yeah, Open Air Homes on I think social platforms, and then like
Okay.
openairhomes.com, and yeah, reach out if you have questions. It'll get to me. Like my team knows how to send things to me, but yeah, I'm not on social media.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching and listening. And I'll talk to you guys next week.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks. Want to keep unlocking the secrets to building real wealth in Los Angeles? Stick around for the next episode. Tap the video on screen to keep watching.